귀한 시간을 내주셔서 막상 여기서 뵈니까 제가 너무 더 감사한 마음이 넘치는 것 같습니다. 이 바쁜 그 시간 내주셔서 너무 감사드립니다.
엠 대표님이야말로 먼 데서 오셨는데.
네. 제가 이 메데어 코리아가 아마 준비는 3년 전부터 시작을 했고요. 저는 그때부터 합류를 해서 1년 정도 준비 기간을 같이 거치고 작년에 이제 저희 사단법인으로 정식으로 등록이 되면서 메데어 코리아가 아시아에서 처음으로 한국에 사무국이 출범을 했습니다. 그래서 저도 맨 처음에 이곳에 대해서 얘기 들었을 때 과연 제가 NGO 단체에서 뭘 할 수 있을까라는 생각을 되게 많이 했는데 제가 함께하게 된 이유는 그 메데어는 구호 활동이 필요한 곳에 가장 빠르게 간다는 곳에 간다는 것에 굉장히 좀 많은 임팩트가 있었고요. 저 역사적으로도 항상 전쟁이 일어난 곳, 우리나라만 해도 폐허가 됐을 때 가장 먼저 크리스천들이 들어가잖아요. 그래서 어떤 그런 선교사적인 그런 단체구나 이런 부분들이 굉장히 저한테 많이 임팩트가 있었던 것 같습니다. 그래서 함께 하게 됐고 오늘 이 자리까지 이렇게 이어지게 된 것 같습니다. 너무 감사하고요. 오늘 순서는 간단하게 저희 이제 한한선 이사장님께서 잠시 인사만 해주시고 저희도 크리스천 모임이니까 시작을 좀 기도로 했으면 좋을 것 같아서 시작 기도로 해주시고요. 그 다음에 솔리데오 저희 소개를 저도 이번에 영문 솔리데오 소개 자료는 처음 봤습니다. 오늘 회장님이 가지고 계시더라고요. 네, 직접 만드신 자료입니다. 그래서 오늘 회장님께서 저희 솔리데오 소개를 좀 먼저 해주시고 이어서 엔 대표님께서 메데어 소개와 그다음에 저희 궁금한 Q&A 부분도 같이 쭉 이어서 이렇게 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 우리 한한솔 장로님, 이사장님 나오셔서 인사말과
안녕하세요. 한한솔입니다. 개인적으로는 이제 나이 좀 먹었습니다. 그래서 명지대학교 경영학과 교수를 하다가 학생들하고 같이 재밌게 하다가 은퇴를 하고요. 이제 오륜교회 장로가 꽤 됐습니다. 섬기고 있다가 this kind of informal meetings I will talk about my private work. 딸 집에서 몇 년 전에 한 2년 전에 조용한 시간을 좀 보냈어요. 딸이 미국에 있는데. 그래서 나름대로 하나님에 의해서 참 좋은 커리어를 또 편하게 지냈던 것 같아요. 중간에 누구든지 어려운 면이 없진 않았겠죠. 근데 정말 금과 같은 귀한 믿음 주신 하나님께 감사하고 이제 인생의 말년을 잘 정리해야 될 텐데 한 번도 치열하게 하나님을 위해서 해본 적이 없어요. 그냥 교회에 나가서 기도하고 맨날 그런 것만 했죠. 아우리치가 하고 맨날 그러다 보니 장로도 되고 막 그러더라고요. 그런데 우리 저기 한장선 대표가 미국에서 같이 공부를 했습니다. 근데 대학원도 후배고 미국에서 같이 조지아 대학에서 이제 파이낸스 같이 PhD를 했는데 같이 미국에서 유학생 교육을 하다가 이렇게 같이 일을 하다가 오래전에 떨어져 있다가 전화가 왔어요. 그래서 서울 들어오라고. 그래서 내용도 잘 몰랐습니다. 그러면서 이제 서울에 왔더니 이런 걸 하는데 같이 협력해서 하자. 근데 제가 NGO 일을 많이 했습니다. 명시대학에서 있어요. 참 많이 했는데 NGO의 나쁜 점을 참 많이 봤어요. 근데 보는데 느낌이 참 좋았어요. 그래서 그냥 하자. 하려고 했는데 하면서 제가 느꼈던 게 늘 제가 드렸던 질문이 why 메데어? 내가 왜 메데어를 해야 되나? 그런 거를 고민이 있었는데 그걸 하나님께서 알려주시더라고요. 저 있었던 35년 전, 40년 전에 저의 간증을 까먹고 있던 간증을 이렇게 깨워주시면서 그때 그랬구나. 그래서 거저받았으니 거저주라라고 하는 그 말씀과 함께 그걸 주셔서 내가 메데어에 있을 수밖에 없구나 하는 이렇게 해서 오게 됐습니다. 메데어는 1980년에 순수 크리스천 NGO가 되겠습니다. 우리 주연학 대표가 얘기했듯이 진짜 가장 어려운 곳에 세계에서 가장 어려운 곳에 가장 먼저 우리 하나님의 사명을 들고 가서 일을 도와주는 곳이 되겠습니다. 그래서 가장 어려운 곳 13곳에서 지금 저희가 하고 있고요. 레바논, 시리아, 사우스단, 유크레인 뭐 이런 데서 하고 있습니다. 가장 프론트 라인에 있다고 보시면 되겠습니다. 그것도 가장 빨리 늘어납니다. 근데 작년도 올해 초에 국제 대회를 갔었는데 이게 저희가 그 전 세계에 지금 한 6개 정도 사무국을 갖고 있고 본사가 저기 스위스의 로잔이라는 데가 있습니다. 로잔 올림픽위원회가 있는 로잔 여기 있습니다. 근데 저희 그 회의를 하다 보니까 이게 NGO인지 제가 한국에 있을 때 NGO 많이 회의 갔었거든요. 얼바이스 번 전혀 다릅니다. 이거는 선교단체인지 정말 그 목장 있지 않습니까? 교회에서 그런 건지 모를 정도로 너무 따뜻하고 제가 갔는데 저를 거의 가족처럼 느끼고 그래서 정말 이런 데가 있구나. 뭐 제가 제 자랑하는 거 같아서 너무 미안한데 그런 게 있고요. 제가 늘 얘기하지만 최현혁 대표도 그렇지만 저도 참 감동을 지금 갖고 있는 게 저희 받은 후원금의 92.1%를 다 보내고 있습니다. 이거는 전 세계 NGO 중에서 제가 알고 있긴 탑2로 알고 있습니다. 좀 남의 NGO 얘기할 건 없지만 그렇게 비용을 별로 안 쓰고 할 수 있는 구조를 갖고 있는 NGO는 없습니다. 심지어 어떤 NGO는 자가 건물도 크게 가지고 있습니다. 저는 그건 옳지 않다고 보거든요. 이걸 비판하는 자리는 아닌데 저희는 하나님 주신 사명을 하기 때문에 다른 것들은 중요하지 않은 것 같아요. 스위스 본부에 혹시 나중에 기회가 되시면 오시면 참 좋을 텐데 오시면 저희 본부 보면 참 은혜를 받습니다. 거의 그냥 창고입니다. 허접하게 입을 데 없는 창고가 되겠습니다. 창고에서 많은 직원들이 일을 하고 있지만 발런티어도 있고 뭐 진짜 스태프도 저희가 페이를 하는 스태프도 있지만 책상이 정해지지 않고 그냥 있어요. 오는 대로 책상에서 일을 하게 되어 있습니다. 우리 엔 대표도 그 나중에 얘기를 하겠지만 부모님이 사우스아프리카에서 그 선교사로 있을 때 줄루라고 하는 쪽을 섬길 때 거기서 같이 자라면서 큰 영향을 받고 이 일에 헌신하고 있습니다. 결혼도 안 하고 헌신하고 있는데 3년째 왔어요. 근데 2년 처음에 왔을 때 그냥 스카프에다 그냥 뭐 굉장히 수수하게 왔더라고요. 근데 두 번째 해 왔을 때 똑같은 걸 입고 와요. 작년도에 다니엘 기도회 혹시 아신지 모르겠어요. 거기 우리 엔 대표가 강사로 섰습니다. 섰을 때 옷이 없어가지고 저희가 남대문에서 10만원짜리 재킷을 사서 입고 그게 뭘 얘기를 하는 거냐면 이게 의도적으로 하는 게 아니라 굉장히 검소하고 이런 것들이 몸에 배 있습니다. 저희는 굉장히 배 있는 그런 걸 느끼게 돼요. 제가 뭐 말이 이사장이지만 굉장히 많이 배우고 있는 그런 입장이 되겠습니다. 오늘 귀한 솔리데오 여러분들하고의 모임이 글쎄 모르겠어요. 어떤 의미가 하나님 주시는 건지 모르지만 이걸 통해서 뭔가 의미가 있겠죠. 그래서 하나님 어떻게 이끌어가시 굉장히 기대하고 너무 감사하다는 말씀을 드립니다. 잠시 그냥 잠깐 기도하고 시작하겠습니다. Let's pray. 아버지 하나님 감사합니다. 오늘의 미팅 하나님이 인도하셨음을 믿습니다. 저희가 무엇을 하든지 주님의 뜻을 구하는 저희가 되기를 원합니다. 우리 솔리데오의 회원 여기 속해 있는 여러분들 하나님의 자녀로서 세상에서 그 전문가로서 자기를 위해서 달려가고 있습니다. 하나님 힘을 주시고 능력을 주셔서 여기까지 왔는데 그것이 모두 자기 야망이 아니라 하나님 주신 귀한 뜻을 사용하는 수단으로 사용하게 하여 주시옵소서. 합력하여 선을 이루시 솔리데오를 통한 하나님의 귀한 뜻을 깨닫는 저희들이 되기를 원합니다. 무엇을 하든지 마음을 다하여 하나님을 의뢰하고 우리 명철에 의지하지 않는 저희들이 되게 하여 주시옵소서. 저희 메데어도 마찬가지지만 우리가 하는 것이 아니라고 믿습니다. 하나님 인도하시니 우리 행사를 하나님께 맡길 때 우리 경영하는 것을 하나님이 이루시라고 하셨으니 하나님 오늘의 미팅도 오늘의 모임도 하나님 인도하셔서 우리가 기도하는 것은 이를 통해서 놀라운 하나님 기뻐하시는 많은 열매들이 맺혀질 것을 기대합니다. 저 끝까지 함께 하실 우리 주님을 기뻐하며 감사하며 살아계시는 주 예수 그리스도 이름으로 기도합니다.
아멘. 네, 감사합니다. 바로 이어서 저희 최영근 회장님께서 솔리데오에 대한 소개를 좀 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네. 어째 하다 보니 약간 공식 행사가 되고 있습니다.
그냥 캐주얼하게 들어주세요.
그냥.
이 슬라이드는 한 2달 전에 그 아시아 태평양, 아시아 패시픽, 하이스쿨 앤 university student in Korea 1 week's mission camp. I'm preparing this slide how the modification last night. 다음 죠? AI designed by myself. Just our company, everybody, our CEO members, IT field business, really crucial. Just our company, one of business is this kind of business. Entertainer, singer song festival, end of last year, SBS song festival. 요거 눌러볼래요? 조금만. 이거 한번 눌러봐요. 이게 Wi-Fi optimized service and design product measurement from Helsinki from Finland solutions. 이런 maybe 15,000 seat in 영종도 in Incheon airport area. Or 15,000 seat occupied fan, so overseas fan or domestic fans. Or your Wi-Fi testing or optimized testing or service. 이거만 보시래 한번 눌러봐야 되겠다만. Our engineer survey sometimes missing people survey by Wi-Fi search. Floor plan. Okay. Solideo. What is Solideo? Latin words, Solideo, you know, only God, Gloria. You know, Solideo means only God. Okay, yeah, only God, Gloria 뜻이에요. Next. We founded 18 years ago, 2006. Dr. Yo Inga and 6 members starting 2006. Who fled in the IT industry or empathy with the need for community based on business relation and value sharing with a Christian spirit. And it has developed into a C-level gathering of Christians in the IT industry to grow spiritually mature, social and creative better future. Our organizer of vision and mission, a Christian with holy influence and change in society and corporate culture. We are committed to personal challenge and spiritual growth through sharing testimony and wide range of experience in service, mission, fellowship, and life. A change in corporate culture and sales culture with spiritual and expertise mission through business activity. Next page. We have about 120 membership. IT field C-level and CEO. Startup to IPO listed company including. We have a headquarters. We are every monthly morning breakfast meeting or worship in FEBC, Forest Broadcasting. We have 6 villages in Seoul and nearby Seoul, metropolitan Seoul, Yeoi village and Seocho village, Coex village, Digital village, Maamok village nearby Incheon airport, or Pangyo village in Seongnam. We have 6 villages. Next. Our operation, our monthly worship, forest broadcasting, devotional meeting and fellow times, and breakfast worship, members testimony and speaker invitation, some pastor inside lecture, just one. We have 4 key words and prayer, mission and koinonia. Each village worship monthly, luncheon time, every monthly. We have outdoor activities. Spring time is spring spiritual retreat. And for maybe two weeks ago, just a fall picnic of total about 60 members, including our family together. Life sharing or outdoor activity. And ending year party maybe second weeks of December. or maybe 120 people, so including our family, or 3 or 4 hours, or sharing, or 1 year's review, or next year planning. Okay, next. The dedication, or second life, or Solideo is sponsorship support for 4 missionaries. 2 missionaries were dispatched to in Philippines. One is Vietnam. The other one is in Korea, IT missionary by hands by SNS, Service for Worldwide. And then one is Oriental Medical Support in Asia Pacific. Or you are support and relationship NGO. Or retired IT business peoples, or his second life service to missionary support or intercessory prayer and encouragement for overseas and domestic. We have 4 key words: word and prayer, mission or koinonia. Or SNS based every morning, AM 6 o'clock. Or word meditation listening. This book is last year every day. AM 6 o'clock or support. Yeah, we will give for you. Even though have New Year holiday, even though Christmas Day, every 100 or 365 days. And each other, 2 person each other communication, also testimony. Next. You are engaged, linked our NGO or support IT mission, commission, or FMNC, or WTIT, or charity, or Give App. So, or Handong University in Pohang, or FEBC broadcasting also. Maybe, maybe linked.
Sure.
Okay, sure? Next. Well, so many activities. Do you know Lauren Cunningham? Maybe last 2 years ago, he died. Same news. We have 2 times IT conference, 3 days in Seoul. Or 2015 days IT conference, totally 3,000 people attending. Maybe youngest. Also, you have so many concerts or bazaar or outdoor worship in Pangyo or Gangnam area. We have a concert chorus team, maybe 2 or 3 people also chorus members. Maybe total member 10 to 12 members. There's so many concerts. Yeongnam Church, so many activities. Next. Vision trip, very famous actress Shin Era with our bazaar, 2 days bazaar was supported. Also, we also NGO support. He is 9 years leader, Mr. Yu, is, do you know NGO? KFHI, also 100% Christian organization support. He just retired. Now that he service in the United States. Okay, next. Also, you are monthly worship in Gyeongdong Broadcasting. Maybe this in June. Also, our chorus team. Next. Well, ending your party, maybe 2 years ago, ending party, just to reference for you. Well, just 2 weeks ago, autumn picnic all together. 분당, 우리 church managed 가평 우리 village, very good side. Spain, character, the culture. Yeah. Next. Monthly each village launch meeting, digital village, coax village, just reference for you. Next. Well, maybe this end of June, maybe July, 1 week stay in Asia Pacific, 7 countries, Vietnam, Nepal, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, etc. About 100 students, high school and university students stay in a mission camp. Each country every year is changed. This year's Cambodia hosted, however, some problem. Because everyone stay in Korea, Yangpyeong. Soldier also one of the sponsors or some lecture to mission and vision support to young friends. Our missionary in Vietnam did some training camp with each other. Our one person dispatched Philippines, a player requested dormitory remodeling and improve recovery issue. Also, our Mr. Dr. Sir, our member, this year Malaysia, support Oriental medical support for 1 week. Just missionary is visionary. Do you know visionary? Visionary meaning of business person missionary. Also, economic. This slide is I'm support to university people, Asian people. If you few years later, please support to employ a vision visionary and economic self-sufficiency and social impact or spiritual mission to our students. Next. For examples, finishing. 다 됐나? Thank you. Sit out.
너무 저희 솔리데오인데 너무 새롭게 다가와서 뭔가 자부심도 더 느껴지게 되고 또 굉장히 귀한 자리였던 것 같습니다.
많이 부족한 것 같습니다.
아니 너무 감사합니다. 좋은 설명.
엄청난 일을 하시고 계셔요.
뭐 제 인식이 됐어요 저도.
저렇게 많은 일을 하고 계시는데
커피라이도 없이 사진 많이 쓰셨네요.
네, 드려야 돼요.
귀한 자료와 설명해 주신 우리 최영 대표님께도 한번 박수 한번 보내드립니다. 네, 이어서 오늘 멀리서 이렇게 오신 손님 저희 차이먼 대표님의 또 메데어 소개를 한번 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 큰 박수로 한번 모셔보겠습니다.
I can easily talk too fast, so I will keep it slow. But if you need anything to be explained, please ask. I'm sure my colleagues can translate. I am very encouraged by what you just shared, to see your shared desire to contribute to a better society through the values that you bring and share, and through the gifts and skills and opportunities that you have. It reminds me of a conversation I had in Afghanistan in January this year with our staff. I was in Kandahar in a clinic in the mountains with some of our female doctors, and they were having so much courage to come to work every day, where they were facing difficulties to get there. It was not easy for them. And I asked them, how do you have the courage to come every day to serve your community with your skills? And they said it's simple. Her courage, they pointed to a colleague, gives me courage. My courage gives her courage. And Medeor's determination to stay and provide healthcare for the community has given us hope. The patience to find a way to carry on has given us hope. And listening to you and sharing about our desire to care for society, we are an encouragement, hopefully, to each other, like these women were describing. We can inspire each other. So thank you for that. Our mandate in MEDER is that we are a Christian humanitarian organization. Our faith drives us to want to bring, we aspire to bring good quality, life-saving humanitarian assistance through healthcare, through water, through nutrition, through shelter. And we specifically respond to three things: conflicts that cause people to be displaced, disease outbreaks like Ebola, measles, cholera, and disasters, earthquakes, typhoons, hurricanes, droughts, flooding. And our aim is that the world's most vulnerable, those who are the most likely to die in a crisis, that are hard to get to, they're hard to reach, maybe because the terrain is difficult and you have to take a canoe, or you have to take a horseback in the snow in Afghanistan, or you have to drive on difficult roads in Congo, or it's hard to reach because it's unsafe. There's a lot of insecurity. Or it's hard to reach because there are a lot of difficult bureaucratic blockages for assistance to reach the people. So we want to go where it is hard to reach the people who are most in need. That is our specific mandate as an organization. And our desire is that people can live with dignity and hope. We don't give each other dignity. We believe we are made with dignity. We are made in God's image. The question is, do we recognize each other's dignity? And do we allow it to shine in the way that we treat each other? And they say people can live 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air. I haven't tried, but they say. But you can't live a second without hope. And we have an eternal hope. And when we go into crisis situations, we carry that hope with us. And we see that it is very difficult to stay hopeful when we are in these places where there is conflict and suffering. And very often we find that the humanitarian community starts to talk very badly about the place that they actually want to see built up. And we challenge ourselves, how can we actually come as a hopeful presence? Because we have an eternity perspective, that God gives us a bigger picture. You can go to the next slide. So I just want to share a few examples of our work right now. On the 23rd of September, the communities in Lebanon started to experience bombing. As you know, there are two parties, one small group within Lebanon that is fighting with Israel. So we experienced a sudden displacement of people within Lebanon. And we were there helping Syrian refugees. And in the past month, by the end of last week, our teams had done 153 distributions to groups of people. On average, 26 big trucks of assistance per day, going out. We assessed 114 communal shelters, whether they were fit to house displaced people. And some of those shelters had no toilets, no showers. So our team built toilets and showers for 23 of those communal shelters. And then we are running clinics for the refugees. So now we have from those clinics mobile clinics going into the communal shelters. And we provide mental health and psychosocial support. And this is while every day the bombing carries on. And it's not easy for our team to sleep at night. Even our international team have stayed. They have not left. And they have carried on working with our national team. In our national team, we have about 100 staff. More than 1/4 have had to flee their own homes because it's not safe. 4 of them have lost their own family members. And some of their homes are totally destroyed and they cannot return. And still they are responding. This gives you a bit of a taste of the speed with which we move. Within 1 day we were responding. We are the UNHCR selected partner to run the UNHCR warehouse with relief items, and that made it very easy for us to move fast. But we are committed to respond with speed when people need it the most. We don't want to take a long time to get a response going. You can move to the next slide. We are responding in Ukraine. In February 2022, the war started on a Thursday. We decided on Thursday to respond. On Friday, we prepared the team to go. On Saturday, they traveled out, and they arrived in Poland. They started to serve people fleeing from Ukraine into Poland, and within a week they were inside Ukraine, and we were the first NGO to be registered who had not been there before the current crisis. And we have been helping provide healthcare, repair shelters, do distributions for people who have had to flee their homes and lose their belongings. And we are all the way in the east on the border by Sumy. We're all the way down in Kharkiv and further south, very close to the front line, daily assessing, is it safe to move? Do we need to wait? Can we go? And we find that the people that are there are the elderly, the disabled, the chronically ill, the people who have not had the means to flee. They are the left behind. And we want to stay faithful to their needs. The next slide. We are also in places like South Sudan, where there has been an influx of people fleeing from Sudan, and there's been extreme flooding, and there are some pockets of famine, areas where they are concerned that there will be famine. There's a lot of hunger, and there are still tensions between people. The country has had a lot of conflict in the last 10 years, and we are running stabilization centers for children who have severe acute malnutrition with medical complications, and it's specialized care. It's 24 hours inpatient care with doctors that treat children who otherwise would die if they did not have that support. We also have the community management aspects of the nutrition projects with outpatient therapeutic feeding and supplementary therapeutic feeding. And we have struggled in the last months to keep these programs going because the world is so distracted by all the other problems in the world that people forget the needs of these people. But if we look at where people are most likely to die or get extremely sick, and where the money is flowing to help people, sometimes those two things are not connecting. And it is, I think we have a Christian calling to say every life has the same value. It doesn't matter if the life is in Ukraine or Afghanistan or South Sudan or Korea or Switzerland or America. Our lives have the same value, and we want to communicate that with our actions. But it is a challenge to stay faithful to these populations because many are forgetting about their need. The next slide. Last week I was in Chad and then in Sudan. I came back on Tuesday and then I flew here on Friday. And in Chad I went to the border with Sudan because hundreds of thousands of people are fleeing across the border from the intense fighting inside Sudan, and they're coming into refugee camps, and we are providing a nutrition clinic. This is the clinic now. Last week, this was a few months ago when it was raining too much. It was very difficult with all the water. And as I came into the camp, under every tree there were hundreds of women and children waiting to receive the nutrition services. And you can go to the next. And I was very surprised to meet staff member who had been part of my team when I led the MEDER team in Darfur in 2008. So that is many years ago. And she used to work in our health clinic, and now she has fled and is a refugee herself. And I knew her very well from then, and it made me understand better what it means for the refugees to flee. She told me her personal story, and because I know her, it brought it alive for me, how intense their suffering is. She had 5 children, and she and her husband were fleeing. The youngest was 3 years old, the oldest was 13. She said they were running, one baby on the front, one on the back, one on her hand. The bullets were flying, and her 5-year-old son was shot and killed, and they had to keep running. And it made it very real for me how deep the impact is for each individual person, how deep the conflict impact is. And she was so encouraged because she had come into this refugee camp where she knew nobody. None of her neighbors or her friends or her extended family were in this camp. But now she was able to rejoin the MEDER team after 15 years and also serve other people in need. And this gave her a purpose, and it was so encouraging to me to see how much it meant to her to be able to help others after what she had been through. I was also in Sudan, where the fighting is so intense. We are running clinics in the capital city where there is still ongoing fighting. Even 2 weeks ago, heavy fighting between both sides, and we run clinics on both sides. It's very, very challenging, but people need medical care now more than ever, and so we are managing to keep those clinics running. And we are also in Blue Nile State, in the southeastern part of the country. It's difficult to get medicines there, but we are managing to keep the clinic stocked with medicines and the staff treating patients every day. So that just gives you a feeling of the type of work MEDER does. There we go. So these are the countries where we work. The dark countries are where we have worked in the past, so our past country of operation. And you see here the eastern part of Asia. We have worked in many countries in the past, not currently, because we focus on the countries that are the most fragile and where lives are the most at risk. And so right now, Afghanistan, Ukraine, a lot of the Middle East countries, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Madagascar, where there's annual cyclical cyclones and extreme drought, Sudan, Chad, South Sudan, Congo. We've also worked in South America in the past, but not at the moment. In Haiti with the earthquake and the storms, in Honduras, in Ecuador with the earthquake, etc. Our desire is to not be tempted to just do those things that are easy, but to try and make sure that we are in at least 2/3 of the highest risk countries. And there is an index called the Inform Index. It's released every 6 months, I think they update it, but every year the European Commission defines, based on certain criteria and evidence, which countries are the most fragile. And so we aim to be in at least 2/3 of the top 20. At the moment we are in 7 of the top 10. So that guides where we choose to go. We choose to do things that are very hard. Sometimes I think, is this really the right choice? But it is what we feel God has called us to. The next slide. Maybe go back one slide just to point out, go back to the map. Can you go back? So we have support offices in America, UK, Netherlands, Germany, France, and Korea. And our organization was founded in Switzerland, and our head office is based in Switzerland, and we work as one MEDER family. These support offices help us in raising prayer support, raising people who may be interested in working with our teams. I've had many Korean teammates over the years, and it has been a real blessing to work together. And raising funding. So we do that also in Switzerland, and all of our operations are then managed through our Swiss office. Our staff come from all around the world, and our International Board of Trustees comes from all around the world. We have a Korean International Board of Trustee member, some members from Nigeria, Zimbabwe, South Sudan, Egypt, UK, Switzerland. So it's very international in that sense. Our common focus is our desire to serve the Lord with our care for the most vulnerable, follow His command to care for the most vulnerable. We also have support hubs, IT support hub in Lebanon, which is tricky right now. For the staff to work every day is difficult. And in Kenya, where we provide logistical support for buying medicines, etc. This is just an idea of how many people we reached last year. 3.6 million people reached with assistance. We don't double count, so if you get healthcare and nutrition and water and shelter, we just count one time to get the full number. That's why if you add up these numbers, they are higher. So this is how much people have received healthcare and nutritional support, how many people water and sanitation, shelter and infrastructure, and cash assistance we sometimes use as a modality where it can help stimulate local markets and give people a choice in what they most need to survive. Or if healthcare is available but people don't have the money to access the healthcare, like in Jordan with the refugees, then we do cash for help. There's a lot of support that goes around that to make sure that they get the right kind of healthcare and they have a support package afterwards. Next slide. A few notable statistics. We have about 1,500 staff. That fluctuates because we are an emergency response NGO, so we add staff and we reduce staff all the time, but it's roughly 1,500. And 90% of our staff are from the countries where we work. So 10% are international. Our budget last year and this year is around 110 million US dollars. And we work on average on 13 country programs. At the moment it's 13, it ranges between 12 and 15. And this year is our 35-year anniversary since we were founded. And you mentioned Lauren Cunningham. We were founded by 3 groups, people, individuals that worked for 3 different organizations. Youth with a Mission, Lawrence Cunningham. MAF, Mission Aviation Fellowship, flying missionaries and humanitarians like us, Christian humanitarians into remote places. And a group of French Christian doctors called MEDAFRIC. And those 3 came together and said, we want to create a combination of going to difficult places with a heart of service for the Lord, with the expertise in healthcare, in water engineering, etc. And we are certified by ZEVO. It's a certification in Switzerland that makes us a credible organization. We're also certified by the Core Humanitarian Standard. All of our staff sign up to the Red Cross Code of Conduct, which defines the humanitarian principles of how we should work. Can you go to the next slide? We have 7 values. The foundational value is our faith. This motivates our desire to care for people in need, and it is our source of strength and our guidance. Compassion, we want to come alongside people and really show them love and care in their time of crisis. Hope, I've said already, we have hope for the future, hope for eternity, and we want to share that hope with others. Dignity, we believe each person is made in God's image and deserving of our respect and is equal value. Accountability, we want to be transparent and accountable to our supporters, to our partners, to the people we serve, to God. Integrity, we want to be truthful and honest and do what we say we will do. And the seventh value we only added 3 years ago, because we said actually when we deal with the brokenness of this world every day, sometimes it can be a heavy burden and we can be too serious. But actually the joy of the Lord is our strength, and we should show that. And so joy is our seventh value. Next one. So we have been refreshing our vision over the last year. We asked ourselves, what is God doing in this world? He made the world, the sin came into the world, He redeemed us, but we don't yet see full restoration. We still see pain and suffering. We know that He is the Savior, not us. He is bringing restoration. So what is He inviting us into? And we see that He invites us to be signposts to the restoration He is bringing, to bring deposits of that restoration, to point to that restoration in the way we treat people. You know, in Matthew 10, verse 7 and 8, Jesus said, as He was training His disciples, He said, "The kingdom of heaven has come near. Now go heal the sick, cure leprosy, freely give, because freely you have received." Jesus makes a link between the kingdom and our action of caring for the most vulnerable. I found this verse very encouraging, because it says there is value in us caring about people's needs now. It points to what God is doing. We are instruments of His love. We can be His hands and feet for each other. And there are 3 ways that we are signposts to the restoration. The first one is we fight for the value of human life. We do good quality, we try to do good quality, life-saving, emergency response. Secondly, we want to be teams that bring life and hope. We realize that it is our relationships between each other that have a ripple effect. You know, when you throw stone in water, then circles go out. Our relationships with each other have a ripple effect into the communities where we work. And we need to really invest in good relationships with each other. In John 13, verse 34 and 35, it says, "It's by your love for each other that they will know who you are, that you are mine." Generosity is our third way of pointing. We want to partner generously with many different organizations, local NGOs on the ground in the places where we work, with foundations, with corporate companies, with churches. We want to mutually bless each other in our effort to care together for the most vulnerable. We are not an island. We are stronger together. We can do more together when we join with others. Next slide. So our new strategy that starts from January 2025 has a goal statement. Medeor wants to be able to say we are ready whenever to respond with quality and impact whenever and wherever God calls us. So our vision flows into our strategy. We have 3 strategic pillars. The first one, restoring life. The second one, organizational health. And the third one, global collaboration. You see how it comes out of the vision. Next slide. So these are the 3 pillars. And the restoring life describes our program focus, emergency response. We are increasing our capacity to respond fast to emergencies. We want to help communities be prepared for crises, especially with climate. We see some crises are predictable and we can help them prepare. Thirdly, we want to continue to focus on good quality programming. We have a team of global experts, health advisors, water engineer advisors, architects, and we really desire to deliver very good quality assistance and a holistic package of multi-sectors to meet the full needs of basic survival needs of people. And we want to work in such a way that we really respect the communities that we come alongside. So we listen to them and we dialogue with them and we involve them, they involve us in their efforts to survive. So strong community engagement in our approach. And I have seen in the past year that this has a multiplying effect. I was hearing from our team in Ukraine that in Kominsky, in the center of the country, there were people that had been displaced from the east. And we were asked to help them with housing. The city council gave us a building, but the place was not secure, so we were insulating the building and putting in toilets. But first we did calculations, and we said how many units can we afford to repair with the help of contractors. Then we sat and had a meeting with the community and explained, this is the need we understood from you, this is the budget we have, this is what we can do. And they said, but in the displaced population, there are carpenters, there are plumbers, there are masons. If you let us participate and you don't use contractors, we can double the number of units. One meeting, we doubled our output because we respected the people. This is really important for how we want to work as an organization. Under organizational health, it's about our culture, building strong teams that work well together, have good teamwork, equipping our staff, and diversifying our funding sources and looking at our operational efficiency. And IT is one of the areas that really feeds into our operational efficiency. And we are busy with a number of different digital transformation projects that I will tell you about in a minute. It is challenging for us to be strategic in choosing where we digitize a solution for how we run a process in the organization, because it comes with license fees, with development costs, and we are always encouraged as NGOs to keep our support costs, our overhead costs as low as possible, to show that the money that we get goes to the people that we are serving. And so we're really struggling how to focus and be strategic with our digital transformation and our operational efficiency. And lastly, we are looking at ways to diversify our funding streams. The governments that have been giving money for humanitarian needs around the world, most governments are radically reducing their funding because they are becoming more nationalistic, more self-focused. We see that all around the world. But the problem in the world is not that there's not enough money. It is how to link the money and people who have money who care with the needs. And it takes a new way of approaching fundraising. And we are struggling with how to do this well, how to shift from being very reliant on institutional government money for humanitarian projects to accessing financing through impact investment, through corporate social responsibility funding, through market-based mechanisms, through blended financing, etc. So we have been doing some research in this area and are moving into some strategies there. And then lastly, global collaboration. This is we do a lot of research projects, which I'll share a bit about in a minute. We also play quite a prominent role in the global coordination of humanitarian work. So MEDER is the co-lead of the health cluster globally with the UN system. I am on the top humanitarian coordination body for the humanitarian response, the Interagency Standing Committee. We will meet later in November in New York. There are 6 NGOs that represent into the IASC, and even although MEDER is not a very big NGO, we are very blessed to have an opportunity to speak into that forum, because we see the value of bringing a values-based narrative into those discussions. And then lastly, we really want to find a way to bless each other for collective positive impact, like you were describing, that desired social impact. The last slide, next one. So you can just keep clicking. With quality, we look at programmatic quality. We are certified by Core Humanitarian Standard, as you've heard. We had last year 46 financial and programmatic audits, which we successfully survived, which is for us a good sign that it shows that we are accountable in what we are doing and have good accounting practices. We aim to meet the SPHERE standard, which is the humanitarian standard for the basic life-saving needs of people, the emergency standards. So this matters a lot to us, and as a result we do a lot of research. We've done research with corporate companies like Airbus, and looking to develop baby weighing scales for the nutrition programming. We also do research with academic institutions like Johns Hopkins University on cholera, Brown University on malaria. We collect the samples in Congo of the malaria blood samples, and then they treat the malaria resistance to medication. I can give many more examples, but I will stop there. And we are a good breeding ground for innovation because we are operational, so we are understanding the challenges and problems on the ground, and we have a global commitment to standards and have access to global research faculties and corporations. And we are an agile organization because we have an emergency response culture, and so we have quick decision-making structures. And that is a great breeding ground for innovation because we have the problem and we have access to solutions and we have a quick decision-making approach. If you think about how innovation works, that sets the stage for innovative practices. Next slide. So some of our innovations are linked to digital processes, which I think understanding your companies may be of interest to you. We have been digitizing some of our processes, like I said, which isn't innovation as such, but it's an important part of our operational efficiency. Our financial software processes, having an ERP and FP&A software system, processing the data for our actual programming work, so our health data and water data, so that we can do evidence-based programming quickly and save more lives that way. We've been with Power Apps developing supply chain software management, so all of our procurement, that it's globally visible, what's in the pipeline, what's been paid for, how fast things are moving. And if you're trying to make sure that clinics in remote, difficult places have medicines, it's important that we have good visibility on all of that. And there was one more I wanted to mention. We're busy working on identifying a reporting tool for incident management. Any incidents that we have, security or otherwise. In terms of innovation, some examples from what we've done in recent years. We work with drones in countries that are not in conflict. In countries where there is conflict, that doesn't work. But in countries where there's not conflict and there's an earthquake or there's a storm, with a drone you can quickly see the damage. So with the Nepal earthquake years ago, we used drones high up in the mountains to assess the level of damage, to focus the response. Similarly, in the Philippines with the storms on islands, drones helped us get a quick assessment for the response. We've also done blockchain development, looking at the connection between the people receiving assistance and the money given, to show that link through blockchain technology. We've also, with the cash distributions for Cash for Health, we've used iris scans, so eye scans, to make sure that the right people are getting the assistance. We have also got relationships with corporate companies like Click SAS. They help us with our business intelligence software and give us the support as a gift in kind corporate social responsibility relationship, and we work very closely together with them. It has helped us hugely in our digital transformation journey. Last slide. So last year I met with one of our partners, and they had worked with us in our country programs, and he used to work for Food for the Hungry, actually. And he said, when the road ends, you keep going. That's what I like about Medeor. You don't stop when the road ends. And we really liked the statement that he made. It encouraged us a lot. So I end with that. When the road ends, we keep going. How do you want to join the journey? How can we join together? How can we join your journey? And what opportunities are you looking for? What would be your interest of collaboration with an organization like MEDER? Thank you very much.
너무 잘 설명해 주셔서 감사드리고요. 오늘 이 시간을 위해서 제가 솔리데오 원래 때 PPT를 담당했던 것 같습니다. 제가 항상 PPT를 남기는데
10개월째 연습만.
네, 감사하고요. 아까 제가 잠시 소개를 못 드렸는데 함께 오신 분은 짐 버나드 커뮤니케이션 마케팅 총괄 디렉터이십니다. 아까 소개를 못 드려서 환영의 박수 한번 드립니다. 네, 소개는 다 해드린 것 같고요. 오늘 사실은 가장 중요한 이 모임의 아젠다인 그 이노베이션 부분 여러 가지 부분들이 있어서 자유롭게 좀 Q&A 하는 시간을 좀 가져보도록 하겠습니다. 그래서 자연스럽게 좀 질문하실 부분이 있으면 질문해 주시고 아니 한 대표님께서 이노베이션 부분 간략하게 좀 설명해 주실 부분이 있으시면 뭐 그 자리에서
그냥 오늘 아까 님께서 말씀해 주신 대로 저희들이 아까 그 많은 대학들하고 존스 홉킨스나 브라운 대학하고 이렇게 협업하면서 데이터를 갖고 우리 콩고민지공학 같은 데서 데이터를 갖고 또 연구도 하고 에어버스 우비를 통해서 영향이 얼마나 나쁜가를 테스트하는 거라든가 또 쉘터를 통해서 이제 스위스 공대랑 그 수단의 주가 대학과 이렇게 연계해서 또 만드는 쉘터라든가 그래서 굉장히 어떻게 하면은 빨리 움직이지만 신속하게 움직이지만 또 어떻게 하면 잘 도울 수 있을까에 대한 그 이노베이션. 그래서 아까 말씀하셨잖아요. 작은 조직이기 때문에 굉장히 신속하게 빨리 대응하고 빨리 결정하는 기관이기 때문에 이노베이션 쪽에서는 굉장히 유연하고 그렇다는 얘기를 아까 해주셨거든요. 근데 이제 그런 것이 굉장히 열려 있습니다. 그래서 어떤 스타트업이나 뭐 테크놀로지나 이런 것들에 대해서도 이것이 저희들 하는 그 프린시플에 맞다면 그래서 이제 활용을 어떻게 해야 될지 이런 것들에 대해서 적극적이라는 것을 이제 말씀드렸고요. 그래서 우리 얘기하시던 이노베이션이 아니더라도 말씀하신 것 가운데 일반적인 것도 N님께 한번 다시 여쭤보시던가 또 이러면 아마 좋은 그 스토리나 이렇게 에피소드들이 많아서요. 그런 것 같습니다.
오늘 너무 방대한 그 메디어 있지만 또 한국 내에서 연관된 데가 많습니다. 예를 들면은 서울대학교 내 적정 기술, 그런 거 교수님이 아프리카 많이 제공해 주시거든요. 이렇게 홈즈에서 그런 걸 이제 빠르게 좀 교육시켜가지고 훈련시켜서
잘 알고 있습니다.
그런 부분도 있고 또 각각 다 대형 교회들이 많이 있다 보니까 각 교회 NGO 단체가 저희도 NGO 단체가 교회 내에 있습니다. 있고 하다 보니까 아까 말씀해주신 교회들, 그다음에 커뮤니티하고 연결되는 거. 저희가 할 수 있는 부분도 이제 아까 DX 쪽에 디지털 트랜스포메이션 쪽에 각각의 솔루션들이 있어요. 미국에서 유명한 다큐 사인 같은 거 그런 걸 저희 이제 멤버들이 또 개발해서 보급하고 있고 그리고 이제 세리 앱 같은 경우는 기부 앱이거든요. 기부 앱. 그건 대표님이 안 쓰는데 그거에서 열심히 지금 2년 전부터 하고 있고요. 아까 뭐 ERP랄지 뭐 SCM, 서플라이 체인 매니지먼트 이런 것도 이제 여기 옆에 계시는 분이 이제 그런 컨설팅이나 교육도 하고 계시고 대표님이 그다음에 뭐 그런 것들이 이제 IT 베이스로 해서 다 연결돼 있거든 AI하고 그러다 보니까 저희가 여정에 동참할 수 있는 부분이 아직 오늘 처음이다 보니까
굉장히 많습니다.
그래서 DX 쪽하고 이노베이션 쪽에 혹시나
저희가 너무나 많고 저희가 거기 분야 아니지만 도움이 많이 필요한 게 그 뭐 이피션시도 이피션시지만 IT 가지고 못하는 일을 할 수 있는 게 참 많을 것 같아요. 그 다니엘 기도회를 통해서 허근학선이 젊은 이 PhD나 박사과정에 있는 친구들이나 공과대학이나 사이언스 하는 친구들이 저희를 찾아왔어요. 여러 명이 찾아와서 자기가 지금 개발하고 있는 거를 이제 아주 크리스찬들이니까 이걸 돈 버는 것도 있지만 더 중요한 거는 우리 메디어와 함께해서 그런 정말 어려운 곳에 세상이 변하는데 자기도 조금 도움이 되고 싶다 하고 찾아오는 게 많아요. 근데 그런 것 중에 진짜 깜짝 놀랄 것들이 좀 있더라고요. 그래서 저희가 이제 느낀 게 이 테크놀로지에 계신 분들이 정말 저희 필요하구나. 그걸 참 많이 느끼는데 저희가 하는 일이 참 이런 정도니까 좋은 아이디어가 있으시면 주시면 저희가 그냥 감사하게 같이 이렇게 할 수 있는 일이 참 많을 것 같아요.
오늘 참 좋은 말씀 들었는데 우리 내부적으로 아직 회의를 해봐야 되니까 어떤 쪽에 저희가 지원이나 링크가 돼서 할 수 있을지 아마 각 개별 회사들도 있고 또 단체로 또 우리가 모으는 것도 있거든요. 솔리데오 이런 것들이 지속적으로
그 점은 너무 좋죠.
저 질문 이렇게 협력이 아닌 메데어에서 지금 여기 긴급구호 NGO잖아요. 여러 가지 이제 구호가 필요한 곳에서 빨리 전달하시는데 그래서 구호가 이렇게 목적인 것인지 구호를 통해서 하나님의 나라를 확장하는 복음이 그런 부분하고는 언급이 안 돼 있어가지고 제가 그게 되게 궁금해요.
저희는 잠깐 얘기하시면 저희는
So you just respond. So what's the main purpose? Is Christian? Is to building the kingdom of God, or just communicating?
So we are Christians that express our faith through caring for people in need, being instruments of God's love through humanitarian action. And so our purpose is to fulfill God's command. You know, in Matthew 25, Jesus says, whenever you give shelter to the poor wanderer, or you give food to the hungry, or you visit people in prison, it is like you are doing it for me. This is what I desire for you. So our purpose is to follow that command, to care for, to show people love and care in their struggle to survive, and to show that life has value, and to express our faith in doing that. So we are Christians who express our faith through humanitarian action. And yeah, I think I can keep on going, but I will leave it there. Maybe just to say, in our experiences of working with corporate companies, Jean Bernard's team managed the relationships for us with many different corporate companies because we really treasure and value those relationships. They mean a lot to us, and they come in many different ways. We can't be developing technologies for everything. Like I said, it's quite a challenge for us to focus and be strategic in what we choose to develop as a technology, because it takes a lot of time from our staff from our technical staff, functional staff, to interact with the development process, and that time costs money as well. So we have to make choices. So that is one possibility, but and research is another possibility. And another possibility, like with Click, they have shared the collaboration internally in the company across the world, and their staff are aware of the shared effort to respond to people in need, and they encourage their staff to consider supporting MEDEO. So even individual staff join in supporting and are excited to be part of this together. And then there is the corporate social responsibility. So some companies just choose to be able to say that they are a supporter of the work of MEDEO and part of what we are doing together. So I think there are many different possible ways of collaborating together. And our desire is really to find people that are kindred spirits, that share the desire to follow God's command to care for people in need. That really brings us much joy when we can join with others who share that vision. Yeah, I don't know if you want to add any thoughts on relationship or something.
What scripture did you mention? So
Matthew 25.
25 and 25 what?
다들 이해하셨지만 이제 저희가 항상 받는 질문이 우리가 크리스천이 먼저냐, 휴머니테리안 긴급구호가 먼저냐, 크리스천 이제 이 메인 게이트 명령을 긴급구호라든가 이런 것들을 우리가 굉장히 전문가고 이것을 이제 빨리 반응하는 그렇게 해서 생명을 살리는 그 사역에 크리스천 밸류, 크리스천 가치를 다 쏟아붓는 그런 주의라는 말씀하죠. 아까 이제 말씀이 가난한 자들 우리가 부어준 그 맨데이트에 따라서 이 엔주 섹터에서 일하는 걸 저희 사명으로 알기 때문에 전도나 개종하는 목적이 아니고 우리의 삶을 통해서 이런 행동을 통해서 그 살아내는 그런 액션으로서의 하나님의 명령을 수행하는 그런 기관이라고 보시면 될 것 같고요. 아까 말씀드리지 못한 클릭 같은 경우에 이제 이게 하나의 플랫폼이고 크리스천 그 여러 다양한 이제 그런 관련된 NGO 활동과 관련된 데서 다 다양한 그 자료를 모은 다음에 그것이 각각의 또 NGO에서 필요한 자료를 종합해서 이렇게 할 수 있는 그런 여러 가지들을 하기 때문에 이제 우리 솔리데오의 이제 다양한 그 회사 이런 그 기술을 갖고 있는 팀하고 어떻게 같이 이렇게 협력할 수 있는지가 다양할 거다라는 생각을 하는 겁니다.
Yeah, maybe if I can add, what is important for us is to make it possible for supporters to experience something and to be able to see and to witness what happens in the world. Because otherwise, you know, as we are all like us, you in Seoul or us in Switzerland, it's very easy to be disconnected from the world. It's very easy to be disconnected from what happens around us. And so what we want to make it possible is just to help you see what happens in most difficult to reach areas or in countries where we are very unfamiliar with. For instance, before joining MEDER 5 years ago, I didn't know what was happening in the world because I was just focusing on looking at my garden, I would say, in Switzerland. So in the spirit of a partnership, I think what we want to bring to you is just this appetite for the world around us, and to be able to make it possible for you to actively and concretely care for others. I think that's what's important, and that's what gives joy. In fact, we realize that it's possible to do something, even from a very remote distance or very remote area. You are not going to work in Sudan tomorrow. Maybe, it's not. Probably not. But it's still possible to do something, and it's still possible with the means we have today to very concretely change one's life. That's what we really want to share with people and corporates who support us.
이게 처음 뵙기 때문에 뭐 우리가 너무 모르는데 솔직히 이 메데어라는 이름 자체가 어떤 뜻으로 이 메데어로 쓰는 것인지 아주 기본적인 퀘스천. 그다음 아까 말씀하신 그러면 여기 이 도와주시는 분들은 다 100% 크리스찬들인가요?
So the first one we already answered. So MEDER, the name, the origin, the history. The second question is the steps. So all Christian. The first one I can. 아까 이제 설명이 있었는데 메데어가 35년 전에 루안다 소로티에서 아까 말씀하신 예수전 YM하고요. MAF라고 미션 에비에이션 펠로시 이렇게 비행기를 타고 들어가는. 그다음에 이제 메데프라고 해서 프랑스의 그 의료 선교센터 그분들이 있기 때문에 이게 에어도 들어가 있고 메디칼 들어가 있고 YM도 들어가 있어 그렇게 이제 시작됐는데 이게 분리된 건 아니고요. 그냥 메데어 그 원슬러블로 그냥 한번 이렇게 하는 거를 아까 말씀드린
그런 것처럼 메디칼 에어 같은 그런 느낌을 주는 거죠. 의료를 빨리 이렇게 전달하는 그런 느낌도 기관들이 합쳤기 때문에.
그런데 지금은 그냥 우리가 메데어라고 해서 그냥 이렇게 그 사람들 파트너이기 때문에 메데어고요. 세컨드 퀘스천 두 번째 질문에 대해서는 이제
all of our international staff and all of our head office and all of our board are committed Christians.
Always.
when we go into a country where the whole population is not Christian, the staff are from the country, and we get to work closely with them every day. But all of our international staff are open and clear that we expect that they will be desiring to share every morning in devotions together from Scripture, and so they need to be Christians, otherwise that wouldn't work. And we realize that to be a Christian organization, if you don't have Christian people, you know that doesn't work.
근데 이제 그렇다면 이제 저렇게 위험한데 또는 이 크리스찬을 되게 싫어하는 나라들 많잖아요, 그죠? 그런 분들한테도 구호가 필요할 텐데 어떻게 들어가고
엄청난 이제 그 하나님 선교의 역사를 하는 분들이죠. 저희가 오늘은 본인의 그 간증이랄까 삶과 죽음을 넘어서면서 이런 수많은 일들이 오늘 얘기를 못했고 그냥 소개만 했는데 정말 엄청난 일들이 있고 그런 아랍이나 이런 데서 많이
그러니까 어떻게
So
애니 얘기하죠.
Just for example,
we use the Medeor values as a common language, and we are open about our Christian identity as an organization, and we, in all of our projects, we seek God's guidance as leadership, as Christian leadership. We pray together, we listen to God, we desire to follow where He wants us to go, and even in our difficult daily decisions about insecurity, and we